Today, we're doing a pretty amazing experiment with 3 teas that honestly couldn't be more different. A Japanese green Sencha, an Indian black Darjeeling first flush, and finally a white tea from China, a Baimudan. 3 classics, green, black and white. 3 different cultures, 3 completely different personalities. And yet, they all come from the same plant. First of all, in most supermarket tea boxes it always says pour boiling water 100 degrees. For herbal blends or fruit infusions, that might be totally fine. But is that really true for delicate green or white teas? Today we're going to find out. Each of our teas, the green, the black and the white, will be brewed twice. Once at the recommended temperature, Sencha at 70 degrees centigrade, Darjeeling at 85 and the white tea at 80, and then again with boiling 100 degrees centigrade water. Our main goal is to see how temperature affects the taste. But as you'll see, the differences in color and aroma are just as interesting. Before we start, here's a quick overview of our 3 teas: Sencha, Darjeeling and Baimudan. If you've ever been to Japan, you know without Sencha nothing works. It's the heart of Japanese tea culture and you get it served literally everywhere. For Japanese green tea, the leaves are steamed right after picking to stop oxidation. That's what gives Sencha its vibrant green color and that fresh, grassy taste. Next up, so-called champagne of teas, Darjeeling. Its flavor is delicate and floral, almost elegant, if you will. What makes it special besides the taste is that it comes from the region of Darjeeling in the Himalayas. Only tea from that region is allowed to carry the name Darjeeling. The first harvest in spring, the famous first flush, is the most sought after. And finally, our white tea, a Baimudan from Fujian province in China. To make this tea, the farmers let the leaves wither, then spread them out and dry them in the sun. Compared to black tea, white tea is barely oxidized. The flavor of Baimudan is, as is typical of our white tea, light, slightly sweet and gentle. Now, back to our tasting experiment. Each tea is brewed at 2 temperatures. Once at the recommended one, Sencha 70 degrees centigrade, Darjeeling 85 degrees centigrade, Baimudan 80 degrees centigrade, and then again at 100 degrees. How do taste, color and aroma change? Does one become undrinkable or just differently interesting? Maybe nothing happens at all. Let's start with Sencha. You notice the difference immediately, even while brewing. At 70 degrees, the fine needle-shaped leaves open slowly and gracefully. They stay a deep, vibrant green. At 100 degrees, the leaves open much faster and release a lot of color right away. The liquor at 70 degrees is a clear, bright green, sometimes with a hint of yellow. It looks fresh and lively. At 100 degrees, the color becomes darker, cloudier, the brightness disappears, and you can already tell visually that it won't taste as fresh as a Sencha should. The aroma at 70 degrees centigrade is fresh, grassy, with a typical umami note. It smells alive. At 100 degrees centigrade, the aroma changes completely. It becomes harsher, more bitter, less friendly, almost a little spoiled. And then the taste. At 70 degrees centigrade, Sencha is lively, grassy, with a gentle sweetness and umami depth. Balanced and harmonious. At 100 degrees centigrade, it tips into bitterness. The fine balance is gone. The bitter compounds dominate and everything that makes Sencha special just disappears. When you brew Darjeeling at 85 degrees centigrade, you can see the delicate green-brown leaves with their silvery tips slowly open up. They move very lightly in the water. At 100 degrees centigrade, they open much faster and release color more quickly. The liquor at 85 degrees centigrade is light golden to amber, clear and elegant. At 100 degrees, it becomes darker, more reddish orange and loses some of its lightness. The aroma at 85 degrees centigrade is floral, fresh, with a gentle sweetness. At 100 degrees centigrade, the aroma becomes sharper and the floral notes fade. Taste at 85 degrees centigrade is light, elegant, with a pleasant, fine astringency. At 100 degrees centigrade, the astringency dominates. The tea becomes harsher and the elegant floral character disappears, which is exactly what makes a Darjeeling first flush so special. At 80 degrees centigrade, the large silvery leaves of the Baimudan open slowly and softly. At 100 degrees, they react faster. Honestly, they look a bit stressed. The liquor at 80 degrees is very light, almost transparent, with a soft yellow tint. At 100 degrees centigrade, it becomes a bit stronger, maybe a touch more golden. The aroma at 80 degrees centigrade is mild, floral, sweet, with notes of hay and honey. At 100 degrees centigrade, the aroma becomes slightly stronger, a bit more intense, but still pleasant. The taste at 80 degrees centigrade is mild, floral, sweet, with a gentle honey note. At 100 degrees centigrade, it stays surprisingly tolerant, a bit stronger, fuller, but still pleasant and balanced. So what did we learn? Green Sencha and black Darjeeling are very sensitive to temperature. Even small changes are clearly noticeable in the cup. Sencha becomes bitter, Darjeeling becomes more astringent, white tea, Bamudan, behaves completely different. Even at 100 degrees centigrade, it stays mild, floral and pleasant. The flavor just becomes a bit stronger. Different teas react very differently to temperature. I love experiments like this because they show us that tea is somehow alive. It reacts to its environment, and that's exactly what makes it so fascinating. If you want, try this experiment at home and tell me in the comments which tea surprised you the most. You can find all 3 teas from this video on my website. The links are below or in the bio. Thanks for watching, have a wonderful day and see you next time. Bye.